Today we will understand specifically about the non-verbal communication. It includes your facial expressions, gestures, eye movements, and all sorts of body language techniques. Body language can again be an open body language or closed body language. Open body language is basically for a good start. Wherein the speaker shows that yes, he is open for communication and he is very frank with the audience. Then in closed body language, it appears as if the speaker is trying to hide something from the audience. Speaker is hiding something. Like if someone is standing with crossed hands, so it is assumed that the person is hiding something from the audience. Now let's see the different forms of non-verbal communication. It can be any sounds, then way of talking, someone's posture, appearance, head movements, which includes nodding and all, then similarly hand movements, eye movements, your facial expressions, body contact, like when you shake hands with someone, it at that point only communicates a lot about your personality, like your confidence level, and then closeness. So these are different ways in which non-verbal communication can take place. Now we will one by one study about these different non-verbal communication types, starting with body language. One simple term to understand what all comes in body language is your physical movements. It can be through eyes, through hands, anything which includes physical movement of the body. It can be facial through your eyes, then posture, gestures, body shape, like if someone is very tall, he is assumed to have a dominating personality. Then silence, silence again has a lot of meaning, like if you asked a teacher some question and he is standing silent, then it can be a symbol of you are asking an irrelevant question or the teacher might be thinking. So silence is again communicating. Then sign language, then there is something called circumstantial language. Circumstantial language means it depends on the circumstance in which the communication is taking place. It depends majorly on the surroundings. Like if it is an FDP where the audience is both teachers, research scholars and students, then the surrounding is like that the communicator can use terms related with research like hypothesis, testing, chi-square method and all. So that is called a circumstantial language. This was about body language. Then we will move to gestures. Gestures includes again different movements. Gestures are broadly of several types, which includes a negative gesture, an illustrative gesture, then affective gesture, and your misinterpreted gesture. Misinterpreted. Now negative gesture can be adjusting clothes. If the speaker standing in front of you is continuously adjusting clothes, the children or the audience assume that the person is nervous. So it is a negative gesture. Then again it can be nail biting, carries a negative sign. Crossed arms, showing a very rigid or a closed kind of gesture. So all this comes in a negative gesture. Coming to illustrative, it can be very less or excessive use of hands. Excessive hand use. Affective is your eye contact. If the speaker is regularly maintaining eye contact with the audience, then we consider him as an affective speaker. Then tone of voice. Communicating in one particular tone of voice is again boring. So the good communicator is one who makes variation in the tone of voice. Then misinterpreted gesture is like silent. If someone is sitting silent, you can assume that the person is highly ignorant. Secondly, one can assume that the person is rude, but actually the case might be that the person is understanding everything. So this is basically one kind of gesture which is often misinterpreted. So we put it under the category of gestures. It was all about gestures. Then another non-verbal type of communication is done through your postures. What all comes in postures? First impression. Posture can be, in simpler terms, your posture is the way you carry yourself, the way your personality, the way you carry yourself. So first impression, practice, movement, then your last impression. Now how we have categorized postures as into first, practice, movement and last. This can be better understood like assume a lecture is taking place. The first impression begins as the teacher enters, the way he interacts with the class, introduces himself, all this builds a background regarding his base of knowledge and the way he is going to communicate for the duration of the lecture. Then comes practice. In practice, this is very important in public speaking. If one has to deliver a lecture to masses, then he can't just come with a piece of paper and start speaking. One needs to practice a lot before speaking something in public. Third one is movement. It includes use of slides. Like when there is a huge number of audience or you are delivering a very quality lecture, one cannot just simply move here and there in the room. In that case, use of slides help in delivering the lecture effectively without moving much. Then last impression, the way someone leaves the place. Like after the lecture, if someone is just rushing away, then that's a wrong last impression. Way of walking. After the lecture, the way of walking should neither be too slow nor too fast, because that is carrying your last impression. All this is covered under postures. And the next type, which is your facial expressions. Facial expressions, for the beginning, very obvious thing you show is emotions like sad, happy. Then if someone is excited, if someone is shocked, second is conception of authority. If someone is given higher authority, then one can make it out from his facial expression that from which authority the person is speaking. To show authority, one can give more emphasis to any word, or tone may be dominant. The tone is dominant. This can be an example of communicate facial expressions. Then it also includes, as we know, it is a part of non-verbal communication. So it will include everything from your hand movement, eye movement, everything. So movement of body parts. Apart from this, it also includes how someone is dressed up, the language they are using. So this is what all one can communicate through your facial expressions. It can be emotions, it can be conception of authority, and then your non-verbal, which includes body parts, way of dressing, language, etc. Two most important ingredients of an effective communication, be it verbal or non-verbal, are listening and speaking. These are ingredients. Listening is more of an active process, which is in all terms above just hearing. In hearing, you are just able to listen to what is happening, but you are not actually understanding what is going on. So listening is an active process, and speaking is, it includes several aspects like ability to talk at a stretch, then creativity. Someone might not be able to speak at a stretch, but he can again be creative in speaking, like use of boards, slides, etc. This can enhance the effectiveness of what he is speaking. Then your non-verbal communication includes another few aspects, which are way of looking, movement of eyebrows, universal facial expressions, the way we are looking means constant eye contact, with gentle breaks, means you can't just stare and you can't just avoid. These are two extremes. So you need to make an eye contact with gentle breaks for effective non-verbal communication. Then movement of eyebrows. This again, there are more chances of getting misinterpreted, because one move the eyebrow in case of shock. Then if someone is confused, so these are the drawbacks or the points that need to be considered while making use of eyebrows. Then there are some universal facial expressions. This means that facial expressions are universally same, be it in any part of the world. Like if someone has to show sadness, so the person will cry. So this is a universal facial expression. Someone is smiling, then again the universal facial expression is like this. If someone is shocked, then you can say open mouth and eyes wide open. So this is again a universal facial expression. Another important aspect for attaining effectiveness in non-verbal communication is the dress code. Many a times you carry a message even if you are not uttering a single word. So a dress code plays an important role in this case. There are few tips that should be followed regarding dress code. One is have everyone dressed similarly. Everyone. Then it would be great if you can try incorporating a logo. Then preferably the dress should be black or blue to give it a professional look. So preferably blue or black. And last is similar dressing. As this makes the audience look more professional. Then after dressing there are certain aspects that impact, which are known as your cross cultural aspects. These also play an important role in your non-verbal communication. Cross cultural aspect can further be categorized as environment and technological aspect. Means the environment in which the communicator as well as the listener are surviving right from their childhood, and the technology they are open to. This again puts a great impact on the communication. And second is social organization, means how both parties are socially active, and this again differs from culture to culture. And their history, what all they have been through or they have been exposed through. And last are the etiquettes of communication that they carry right from their learning stage. So etiquettes of communication. So with this we end with the non-verbal communication.